Good morning, students. How are you? Let's begin with our lesson straight away. So, yesterday we learned already what is science, the four branches of science, and what do scientists do, right? So, let's take a quick recap. What is science? Science is the way of understanding the world around us, or it is the study of the world around us and everything in it, right? Yes. Now, what were the four branches of science? Do you remember? Yes, biology, physics, chemistry, and geology. Now, what do scientists do? We learned the scientific method, right? What were they? Yes. So the first step is to make observation. You see, you feel, you taste, whatever. And then you form questions about it. Whatever you saw, you make a question. And then you make hypothesis or the prediction. You wonder, you guess, and then you test the hypothesis by doing an experiment. After that, you record the results, right? And then you share the results after you come to a conclusion. So this is the scientific method which we saw yesterday. Now, we are going to go deeply into observing and investigation. Okay? We're going to go to the step. So first of all, we are doing the observation. So how do we observe? We observe using our senses. What you see, what you feel, what you taste, what you smell, what you hear. So you use your senses. And also sometimes we use scientific instruments, microscope or maybe test tubes or maybe magnifying glass. And then when you observe, it leads you to questions, right? So the next part is hypothesis, because once you have a question, you make hypothesis, you make a prediction. Now, the theory or explanation that has not been proved yet, it is hypothesis. But it's not proved, it's just your guess or your prediction, it's called hypothesis. In this step, you make predictions, right? And this leads to experimentation, because once you make the prediction, you need to know if it's right or wrong. You do the experiment. So the third step is experiment. Now here you will test to know if your hypothesis or prediction is correct. A good experiment must be a fair test. Now, by looking at these two experiments, which one do you think is fair? The first one, where you have dark box and no water, and in the first you have light and water. Or the second one, you have dark box and water, and second one you have light and water. Yes, the second one, the first one is not fair. If you're trying to look what will happen in the dark and light, the water should be same, only the dark and light should change. So when you say fair test, that means everything should be same except the one which you are looking for. So here you are looking what will happen for the plant in the light and dark. So except that, all others should be same. You should have the same kind of plant, you should have the same soil, same amount of water. This is fair test. And then you have recording, right? So when you record, you make measurements so that the others can check. You use rulers, clocks, thermometers, etc. These are the different tools you use to measure, thermometer to check the temperature, stopwatch to see how many minutes or how many seconds, a beaker to measure the liquid, or a graduated cylinder or a syringe, or to measure the mass, you take the balance, different kinds of balance, or length. Again, you can use the ruler, tape, measuring tape, anything. Now, a good scientist always records all his observations so that they are not forgotten and can be checked. So we are doing it for two reasons. One, that we might forget, right? You check the measurement and then you forget how much was it. So you write it down, you will not forget. You can check it back, right? So you can check. Even others can check your work, because maybe there is someone else who want to repeat the experiment. So they can compare it with yours. Now let's do some observing and investigating. The question here is, how long does it take for water to freeze? Okay. So when you observe, you can see that some water freezes quickly, others take time. There are many factors affecting this process. And what are the factors? The kind of water, the size of the container where the water is held, or the temperature of the water, the temperature of the freezer. There are many factors. So what's your guess or prediction? How long do you take? How long does the water take to freeze? You can do this experiment at home and check every 1 hour to record your results. And then Let us see the result of an experiment done using salt water and normal water. Okay. So this is the graph. You can see in the beginning, it's all water. After 1 hour, the normal water became thin ice, but the salt water is little less. After 2 hours, you can see it became thick ice. And after 3 hours, more thick ice, right? Like completely ice, sorry. So you can see here, 0. In the beginning, both are water. After 1 hour, the salt water is a little bit ice, but the normal water has become thin ice. After 2 hours, the salt water is just becoming thin ice, but already the water has become thick ice. And by 3 hours, the water has become completely ice, but it takes 6 hours for salt water to become completely ice. So what's the conclusion here? It takes 3 hours for normal water to freeze, but it takes 6 hours for salt water to freeze. Now let us see the results of an experiment done using hot water and cold water. Your prediction, which one do you think will become ice first? The cold water? Let's see. This is the graph which is drawn with the measurements. So you can see here what has become ice first. See, the red is the hot one and the blue is the cold one. You can see it was really hot, right? And then quickly it went down, and you can see at this point it's water already. At this point it became water plus ice, and by the time they reach here, it became completely ice. So what's the conclusion? The hot water freezes faster than the cold water. Now let's check the progress. How does a scientist make observation? Yes, by using senses and scientific instruments, right? Okay. Why must all observations be recorded? I told you there are 2 reasons. Yes, so that you don't forget and it can be checked. What's a hypothesis? Yes, it is a prediction or an educated guess, right? It's an explanation which is not proved yet. It's just a prediction. How can a hypothesis be tested? How can you test it? Yes, by doing an experiment, you can test it to see if your guess or your prediction was right or wrong. And what is a fair test? Yes, a test in which everything is kept same except the thing that is being tested. Except the thing which you are looking for, all the other things should be same. Thank you, that's all. I hope you enjoyed and understood the lesson very well. See you in the next lesson. Bye.